Welcoming onto the program, a licensed professional counselor, Rusty Lozano, joins us here on the Good Morning Show. Rusty, good morning.
Hi there, Scott. Good morning. How are you?
What are we defining helicopter parenting as this morning?
Well, a helicopter parent is a parent who is hovering over a child's behaviors, observes them closely, gets involved in the outcomes of decisions and things that your child tries to vouch for in their own life and make sure and facilitates that they're successful.
Yeah, well, that's all fine and good, but it's just the little extra drop of Retsin where they're pushing it maybe just a bit too far, aren't they?
Yeah, a little bit too far, yes, indeed. Kids, I think, are having difficulty experiencing disappointment, and we're shielding them from that. A disappointing circumstance is no more damaging than a scraped knee, and they learn to overcome and improve their behavior for the next round. But we're robbing them of that ability. We're robbing them of that experience because they're experiencing success with involvement, and then the expectation is that I should always be successful. And so the minute a parent lets go a little bit and says, "Okay, it's time to fly now," they don't have the instinct to essentially, make those successes happen for them.
Couldn't you argue that this is going on in our schools as well, where it seems like they're passing everyone along from grade to grade? A lot of these guys can't do the school work from something 3 or 4 grades behind them. So it's more than just parenting here that's telling kids their stuff doesn't stink.
I think that it's certainly happening in academia, and I think a big part of it is happening because there's a lot of pressure from parents that their child they're not getting the education that they are supposed to be getting, and hey, my child goes to school every day. Why is he not successful? How come you're not doing your job? And essentially not looking at the fact that maybe their child isn't as involved. And so there's pressure to conform, and so a school system can only do so much. And so I think we bind them essentially to enable these kids to kind of move along when they may not be essentially prepared.
I got an email sent to Scott at KFAB.com just a moment ago. It said, "I'll be listening to this segment. My daughter is a helicopter parent." Now, isn't part of this, Rusty, just the one parent looking at the younger generation and how they're raising their own children, saying, my kids are soft, they're not raising these kids as well as I raised them? Isn't this just a generational thing a little bit?
It is a generational thing. It's interesting. A friend sent me a link that said you made it, and it's on VMO, and it talks about how we, as a generation in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, they essentially grew up drinking water from a garden hose and staying out until the sun, the street lights came on, and staying out all day and toughing it out with other kids and dealing with disappointment. And you don't hear that these days. A lot of kids are internal these days, playing on the computer and developing intricate personalities with emojis and texting, and it's just more internal than it ever has been.
My kids play outside, and my kids get dirty, and my kids scrape and bump and bruise themselves. I let them do things that won't kill them.
Yeah, that's essentially that's the way it should be, and they learn success through trial and error. They learn success through failure. And say, well, I'm going to try a little harder next time, Dad. Or, and now that's getting back to the roots of good old parenting that is there to say, hey, I'll let you, you can go and explore and be free, and here are the rules. Just don't bend them. Thanks
for being on the show this morning, Rusty. Good talking to you.
Thank you much, Scott.
That's licensed professional counselor Rusty Lozano here on the Good Morning Show. News Radio 1110 KFAB.